I'm Shaunak Modi, and I'm the co-founder of Coastal Conservation Foundation and the manager for the Intertidal program at CCF. At the moment, I am researching something different. I'm researching the Indian Ocean humpback dolphin population in Mumbai. But before we started this in 2022, for the past 6 or 7 years, you would usually find me crouched over a tide pool on one of the shores in Mumbai. And what I'm going to be talking about today is about the intertidal zone, the intertidal program at CCF, and also Marine Life of Mumbai. That is our flagship program. So I'll begin with something that's very basic. Some of you may know about this, and I'm sorry if this is just repeat information. But for those who are unfamiliar with what the intertidal zone is, intertidal zone is basically the area of a shore which is between the high tide line and the low tide line. And within the intertidal, we have different kinds of habitats. We have sandy shores, rocky shores, mudflats, and mangroves. These are the three most common types of habitats that we have within the intertidal. But there are also salt marshes, coral reefs, and seagrass meadows. This is something that Prachi spoke about yesterday. Now let's look at intertidal ecology. The intertidal is divided into three different vertical zones. We have the upper intertidal, the middle intertidal, the lower intertidal. Above the intertidal zone is the splash zone, and below the intertidal zone is the subtidal zone. And each of these vertical zones in the intertidal have their own uh, diversity of species that can be found there. If you look at sandy shores, usually with soft substrate, the distribution of fauna is influenced by tidal fluctuation. There's a high abundance and a low diversity of organisms. The habitat changes seasonally, and there's less water holding capacity. On rocky shores, you have a hard substrate, uneven surfaces and crevices. Depressed areas retain water at a low tide, and high diversity but less abundance of organisms. In mudflats and mangroves, there's soft and nutrient-rich substrate. It's an oxygen-deficient habitat, which is important. There's more water holding capacity. It usually occurs at or near estuary mouths. There's a highest organism diversity in mangroves, and the distribution of flora and fauna is highly influenced by tidal fluctuation. So, how do you explore the intertidal zone? If you're on a beach, which is one of the most common types of habitats that we find, in the upper intertidal, you'll find ghost crabs. But you may not usually see them during the day. What you will see them is their burrow, and that is how you'll know that there's a ghost crab there. Similarly, if you walk a little further down, you'll start seeing sand bubbler crabs and their sand bubbles. This is also a sign that there is life on that beach. You'll also see soldier crabs and the towers that they make. You'll see tiger moon snails and the moon snail egg case, which is also known as a sand collar. And when you go further down, you'll start seeing clams. And if you don't see clams, you'll at least see these marks on sand, so you know that they're there. If you happen to see like a tractor track, then you know that there are hermit crabs over there. This is the kind of track that they make on sand. And if you see a large path in the sand, you know that there are other gastropods in the area. This is a Babylonia spirata, which we commonly find on beaches in Mumbai. And because of the single muscular foot they have, they create a path like this in the sand. On rocky shores, you would do tide pooling. There are various ways to explore it though. But animals usually will hide in crevices or under rocks. The biodiversity present across the shore. And the best way to explore rocky shores is to look in tide pools, look under rocks, or look for associations. And today I'm going to talk about all three. So if you look at any rock on a rocky shore, it'll have multiple life forms. Even a rock as small as the one that I'm lifting here has gastropods, sea sponge, bryozoans, polychaete worm tubes, and gastropod eggs. Similarly, if you look at a rock like this, and I'll just give you a few seconds to just try and see how many animals you can see here. That's how many. So again, every rock in the on a rocky shore will have some sort of life. And as I usually tell people, it's like a little forest under every rock. One more way to look for animals in the intertidal is to look for associations. If you look at this is a Cretana pawarshindeorum slug. It's very commonly found across rocky shores in Mumbai, but it has an association with Eudendrium hydroids because it feeds on them and uses their nematocysts as a defense mechanism. These slugs can be really small, but the hydroids that they feed on, live on, and lay eggs on are slightly larger. So if you happen to see hydroids, that's a good way to look for these slugs. That's a close up of what how small these slugs can be. And this one is feeding on the polyps of the hydroid. Similarly, if you look in really shallow pools and you see turf algae, there are good chances that you will see Hirasi's alicia, which is a very small sacoglossan slug that we find in Mumbai. And if you look at a pool and you have Caulerpa algae, there's a good chance that you will see Alicia tomentosa, though those are seasonal in Mumbai and will not be seen across the year. And if you look at a cobblefield rocky shore, these are usually shores which have small to medium-sized boulders on a largely sandy surface. And there are good chances that you will find porcelain crabs and other small crustaceans which love hiding in the crevices. If you look at mangroves and mudflats, it's a very diverse habitat and it can be difficult to explore because getting into the mud is not easy. So, but you can also stay at the high tide line and just start looking for animals. But these animals are very easily freaked. So, if you happen to walk right next to a mangrove, chances are you may not see anything. But just wait there for a few minutes, just sit down quietly, and they'll start to appear. For example, if you look here, you can see some large telescope snails, but not much else. But you wait for some time, and this is what it can turn into. This is a time lapse that has been taken in Mumbai. And near water, good chances to spot these guys. They are mud skippers. They live in mangroves, but they will always be closer to the tide line, to the water line, as compared to the other gastropods that you may see there. And also on trees. These are Cassidula snails. They are air-breathing gastropods as opposed to marine gastropods, which is why they don't live in water. And as soon as the tide comes up, they will start climbing up on trees. So why is the intertidal zone important? Why am I talking so much about it? They are nursery grounds for fish species. On the left, what you see here are fish eggs, and on the right is a photograph from a tide pool of juvenile mullets. It's a habitat for protected species. Unfortunately, spiny sea fans are no longer under the Schedule 1, but they are soft corals nonetheless. And on the left, you have galaxy corals, both of which are found in the intertidal zone. They are very important fishing grounds. whether it's shore scene or beach scene as that which are operated around the Konkan coast, or even as something as small as a cast net operation that is very commonly seen in Mumbai. And most importantly for us, it protects us from storm surges. These are two photographs that have been taken in South Mumbai during an average monsoon day. If the rainfall on that day coincides with a high tide, sites like this are very common. The one on the left is on Marine Drive, and thankfully, this water only reaches the road. Unfortunately, the one on the right is taken at Kafparet Koliwada, and this sort of wall of water hits people's homes minute after minute till the tide recedes. So, what are the other threats that the intertidal zone faces? There's water quality. Um, the diversity and the abundance of certain organisms depend on the kind of water quality there is. You will see much animals like polychaete worms in much greater quantities in area where the water is bad. In fact, in the photograph shown here, the sand dune type mounds that you see, they are all polychaete worm mounds that can be found on certain shores in Mumbai. Marine pollution. This is again a photograph taken at Juhu Beach. This is what the beach on few days ends up looking like on during the monsoon. But plastic is a huge problem on our beaches. Oil spills. Uh, this is something that has been in the news recently. There have been noodles and tar balls and oil that is washing ashore on certain shores in Kerala. But in Mumbai, this is something that we see every single year, year after year, for as long as maybe 20 years is what I remember. There has been some modeling done, and there have been some studies from NIO which state that these are coming from the offshore oil rigs. But as soon as the winds change in Mumbai between late March all the way till August, sites like this are very common on all our shores. So these are tar balls, which are basically a mixture of sand and oil and water. And as they land on, as the tide brings them to the beaches, you will find them across the shores, lining the high tide line. But as the sun comes up around noon, they start melting and turn into this liquid goo, which then just stays there. It's very difficult to remove them. Climate change is another big uh, something that's foreshadowing everything else. These are photographs of, this is a photo of bleached corals that we find on the Haji Ali shore in Mumbai. These are false pillow corals. They are a reef building coral species. They have the highest protection under the Schedule 1 of the Wildlife Protection Act. Yet there is very little that has been done to study them more or see their bleaching effects. And large scale infrastructure projects. This is something that we saw in Mumbai in starting in 2019, where large tracts of shores that we used to regularly visit and document on were reclaimed for the Mumbai Coastal Road project. There was, if you looked at the EIA of the project, there was absolutely no mention of any kind of marine biodiversity, despite there being hundreds of species found on those shores. So there's very little awareness about the intertidal zone or intertidal diversity. Thankfully, it's changing now because of all the people who are working in the intertidal, like Pranav yesterday said, Amit today shared. I'm really happy about that happening. That brings us to Marine Life of Mumbai and what Marine Life of Mumbai has been doing in Mumbai. So this project started as a collective in 2017. At the moment, it is CCF's flagship outreach and citizen science project. This is what, before we started, this is what Mumbai shores were to the citizens of the city. There was such a strong narrative around plastic pollution. There was such a strong narrative around trash that was found on the beach that people never really thought that there could be anything else. But after we started documenting and sharing photographs, we showed people that this is also how Mumbai shores were. This is the a rocky shore at Juhu, which is covered in sponges during the summer months. So the challenges when we started out were that the habitat was understudied. There were really vast areas to explore. The resources to identify species were really ambiguous, and the exploration was possible for only a few days a month. So instead of treating it as a research project, what we did was we looked at opportunistic exploration to document marine biodiversity as the means to go forward. We did extensive and detailed photo documentation. We made our entire data set open access. It's because there were two reasons for it. One, because there was absolutely no data from Mumbai, and two, also because we needed help identifying a lot of animals that we were seeing. So we decided to create a project on iNaturalist and upload all our findings there. And we also encourage citizen science, and got we empowered people to explore on their own. Let's start with a little bit of outreach that we did. We conduct shore walks every month where we take groups of people during spring low tides on different shores in Mumbai to show them the marine biodiversity that's found around. This is our primary outreach activity that is on ground. And this has resulted in our team growing exponentially. And by team, I don't mean the team at CCF, but the community of tide poolers that we have in Mumbai have grown exponentially over the years because of these shore walks. We also started training volunteers where we would the people who are very keen on learning about the intertidal, they would accompany us even on our explorations and learn more about the shore so they could then start taking their own shore walks. But there were also those people who were not able to join us. It was either because there were no spots on the walks available, which is a problem we've been trying to find a solution for, or that they were not in Mumbai. But for them, we started doing online posts. The one you see on the left is what we call a species post, where we talk we share very interesting facts about certain animals. On the right is another example of a kind of post we do, which is a marine glossary post, where we sort of explain different terms related to marine life on our social media. We organize meetups and webinars. The webinars started as an alternative for a meetup during the lockdown. We've done several meetups, and we've also done three webinars so far. And with the help of the Mangrove Foundation of Maharashtra and WWF India, and in collaboration with them, we organized the Coastwise Marine Festival. This is an annual festival that has been going on since 2017. It started off as just a festival to bring awareness to the intertidal in Mumbai. I'm very happy to share that last year we had events across 8 coastal states in India. So, this festival has grown with the aim of raising awareness about the marine biodiversity of the country. And again, we do multiple activities. Some of them are indoor, some of them are field activities. We just look at different ways people can interact with marine life and marine spaces. So, to quantify what we've been able to do so far as MLOM, we've reached more than 30,000 people. We've had more than 200 shore walks. We've explored 20 different shores in Mumbai. We've had 50 plus public events in schools, colleges, and other areas. And we've done, sorry, that number's wrong. We've done 6 annual festivals so far. And we've had more than 200 informative posts on social media. What is also crucial is there were these species which were described from Mumbai in the 1940s, which were since lost from their type locality. And we've been able to identify multiple such, we've been able to document and find multiple such species. The first 2 slugs that you see in the top row, the first one has been named after Kolaba, which is an area in Mumbai. The second is Goniobranchus bombayanus, which has been named after the city. So we were able to find both of these slugs for the first time after 1946 from the type locality. We also collect data, like I said, as part of MLOM. As of today, we have 12,899 observations from 20 locations of 643 species. This is the largest open access or otherwise data set of baseline data of marine diversity from Mumbai. As of today, we have 195 people contributing to our project on iNaturalist. Some of the type of animals that we found, one of the largest groups is gastropods, where we found 160 species. We found 65 species of crabs, 13 species of echinoderms, including sea cucumbers. We found 24 species of soft corals, 8 species of hard corals, 60 species of fish, and 7 species of sea snakes. Like I said, in 2019, there was a big shift and there was a big jolt that we received in terms of our work that we were doing in the Intertidal, where large-scale reclamation for the Mumbai Coastal Road project started. And in some of the things that we learned while that was happening was that there was information needed from these spaces, not to stop such projects, but to at least provide mitigation measures to save certain habitats and species. It also validated our open access model, data model, where our data was used in multiple court cases and multiple petitions against the coastal road. What we also realized was that there was weightage given to peer reviewed data as opposed to open access data that was available online. We also realized that there were two things going on at that time. One was the protest against the RA metro shed, which is a forest, and the second was uh, Mumbai Coastal Road project happening. But we realized that while there were lakhs of people who were in support of RA, there were maybe 150 to 200 people who came out in support of the Intertidal. And we realized the importance of outreach to the stakeholders. And this is something that we have been doing for a very long time, but needs to be scaled up. And that is where our efforts are at the moment. Um, and that there was a need for a long-term monitoring program, something that we have started this year. Our data was, like I said, used in three different reports, which were submitted to the Mumbai High Court and then to the Supreme Court. And I'm very happy that our photographs and our data was used in three different field guides. Two are Indian field guides, and one is about Indo-Pacific corals by Joe Rowlett. We have also submitted two papers in different journals and are waiting for them to be approved. One is about intertidal gastropods, where we've documented about 160 species with more than 50 species of sea slugs. And the second is a checklist of marine brachyurians from the Mumbai metropolitan region. So after we started MLOM, we realized that this is something that can and should be done in different parts of the country. So we started another project called Intertidal Biodiversity of India. This project is, again, a dream project of mine, where I would like to see different marine life of projects come up in different cities. This is a project right now on iNaturalist, where we have observations from all 9 coastal states and both union territories across India. It has 25,610 observations, like I said, from across all coastal states and both union territories. It has 1,623 species so far and 660 contributors. And we are, of course, always asking people to start their own MLOs, like I said. If anyone here is interested in starting their own, we'd be more than happy to help in every way possible. So do reach out. Our contact information can be found here. That's my time. Thank you.